Welcome to my shop. My name is Guy, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my new Powermatic PM1500 bandsaw. Now, before I start talking about the features and the benefits of this bandsaw, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the build quality of this. First of all, it was shipped in one big crate and basically fully assembled. All I had to do was attach the fence and clean off a little bit of the shipping grease. The build quality of this thing, just like all the other Powermatic machinery I own, is flawless. The paint, the quality of materials used is just off the charts. Very, very good machine. Now, this saw is a little bit different than other bandsaws on the market today in the fact that it's a 15-inch bandsaw. In other words, the wheels here are 15 inches diameter. First thing I noticed when I opened up this case to it is that how big and massive these cast iron wheels are. My old bandsaw had cast iron wheels, but they were not as thick and beefy as this. That really adds to the momentum when you're resawing or doing any other operation. The next thing I noticed was the mechanism back here that raises and lowers the wheel to give you tension on the blade. Again, just massive, and it just slides and moves really, really well. Now, this bandsaw has a capacity of 14.5 inches from the blade to the back pillar and a 14-inch resaw capacity. This raises and lowers. You unlock this right here, which again is cast iron and polished, along with the hand wheel. And this just raises up and lowers really, really smooth. It's on a rack and pinion. Another thing I noticed is that the blade guard for this wraps completely around the blade. There's no open side on the back here or here. So that's just an added measure of safety. The bearing assembly on this is completely toolless, and I mean completely toolless. My old one, it still required a hex wrench to do a few things. This one, you don't need anything. These knurled knobs right here release this carriage so you can slide it back and forth. This allows this, which is the thrust bearing, to give you proper clearance to the blade. And these release the roller bearings on the side so you can adjust the clearance properly to the blade. Very easy to adjust, and you can have this up and going in a few minutes when you change a blade. There's a few other items back here. Now, this knob adjusts the tracking of the blade. You simply loosen this handle, you move this in and out, and it changes the upper blade mechanism like this and allows the blade to track straight and true. And then that just locks it down. This arm right here releases the tension on the blade. There's actually 3 positions on this, and it's pretty cool. In this position right here, it's fully loosened to allow you to change the blade. In this position right here, it actually gives you partial tension. And this is where it is most of the time when the machine is sitting idle or you want to adjust the tracking on it. And in this position, the blade is fully engaged and allows you to cut. Now, I should also mention that there's an interconnect that's attached to this handle. The machine will only turn on when it's in the fully engaged position. If you put it in partial or fully disengaged, the machine will not turn on, which is a really, really nice safety feature. This heavy-duty cast iron hand wheel raises and lowers the wheel to adjust the tension on the blade. There is also a gauge to help you set that tension. Like most bandsaws, it has a window right here so you can see the blade on the wheel to help adjust with the tracking. This is a small detail, but again, it goes to the quality of the machine. They actually put a yellow rubber tire on the wheel instead of a black or a dark gray one, so you can actually see the blade on the wheel. Again, a small thing, but it makes a big difference and helps setting the machine up. Also included is a real magnetic safety switch, so if there's a power outage, the machine won't turn it back on automatically. And it's got this really neat magnetic lockout button, so you can take that out and nobody can turn the saw on. Let's talk about the fence. This is easily the best fence I have ever had or used on a bandsaw. Most manufacturers, it's almost an afterthought. They're really not that good. My last saw had a really good one, but the problem was it was kind of finicky. It went out of adjustment quite a bit, and the handle for some reason was right here where the wood was. I was always fiddling around with it and trying to get it to set right. This is really nice. This uses a regular T-style fence, the Biesmeyer style fence. It's got a solid locking knob right here, and it's out of the way of the wood, which really makes me happy. This is a 2-position aluminum fence, so you just undo these right here. You slide this out, and then it can slide back in like this in the horizontal position, so you can set your blade guard down if you're cutting thinner stock. Now for resawing or cutting wider pieces of stock in a vertical position, you can leave the fence vertical like this or remove it completely. And this machine also comes with this really super heavy duty resaw bar. A lot of people like to draw a line on the board and then push it through, and you can adjust for drift just by moving the board. And this just simply goes in here like this, bolts on from the back, and locks it in so you can move the board like this. Included on the fence is a scale, and both imperial and metric, and it actually works. I set it up and it's very accurate. Another nice thing is it's got these two set screws right here, and that easily allows you to adjust for drift when you lock it down, so this always remains parallel to the blade. Now there's a solid cast iron top on here. It's a full 2 inches thick at the edge. It's really nice and heavy duty. You also have these cast iron trunnions on here, which are really nice and solid. This is the locking mechanism. There's actually a rack and pinion adjustment on this. So as you turn that, the table will tilt so you can make angle cuts. Now the motor on this is a full 3 horsepower, 240 volt motor, which is more than powerful enough to cut anything I can throw at this bandsaw. There's also 2 dust collection ports, one down here at the bottom by the wheel and one up here on the top by the upper blade mechanisms. Dust collection on this is really good, and they actually take this one step further, and I need to show that on the other side of the machine. One of the biggest problems with dust collection on bandsaws is right underneath here. As the blade comes down, the sawdust tends to build up over the top of this, and this 4-inch port here, even though it's right underneath it, still doesn't seem to suck up that dust very good. Powermatic went a step further and fixed all that. Inside here there's a baffle which covers this, and then there's a little cowling which covers the roller bearings underneath. So this is all enclosed, and there's a good amount of suction coming from here and up into here, and it actually keeps this whole mechanism very, very clean, which is nice. There's also a brush here and one on the wheel to keep the wheel clean. Now the saw is very quiet, and just due to its weight, there's almost no vibrations at all on this. Even on a mobile base like this, the table is very, very rock solid. There's also a foot brake on this with a magnetic switch interrupt. So if I've got my hands full and I can't reach over here to turn the power off, I can always hit the foot brake, and that'll stop the wheels from turning and the motor to shut off. Bottom line is, the Powermatic PM1500 has every feature I could really want on a bandsaw. It's big, it's heavy, it's vibration free, and the quality and the fit and finish of the parts on the unit are just fantastic. I'm really, really happy with the saw, and I highly recommend it to anybody looking for a bandsaw in this class.